Hello everyone, welcome to LTEC 623 Video Editing Tutorial 1. In this video, we're going to cover getting started with WeVideo. When we first log into WeVideo, we land on the dashboard. And you can see here, I have a couple of options. I can create a new edit using just a blank canvas, or I can choose from one of the many templates that are actually provided by WeVideo. Now, we're going to ignore the provided templates for now. But don't worry, we'll take a look at those later in the semester because I think those provided templates are one of the unique features that separates WeVideo from some of the other offerings. So the first thing I want you to do is click on projects, and depending on whether or not you've been in here, for your projects you may see nothing because you haven't actually created anything yet. Now, as the instructor, I've shared a project, a collaborative project with each of you. And that particular project should be called Video Project 1 dash and then your name. So for example, mine is called Video Project 1 Dan. And to actually begin working in that file, I have to double click on it. So I'm going to double click to open up that project. And here I am. I'm inside the project. How do I know that? I can see the name of the project right here. Now, if I take a look at members, I can see who has access to this online video project. And I can see that Dan, the instructor, the admin account who created or owns this account is listed here, as well as Dan, the student. So those are the only two people who can access this particular project. Now, in terms of project media, if I click here, I can see that I have one file. It's a video file, and I can learn a little bit of information. It's actually quite long. It's 30 minutes long, and it's actually quite large in size. It's actually over 6 gigs. And I've already added this to the project because it's such a big file, it takes a while to upload, and I didn't want to bore you with that process. The videos tab shows you if you have any finished edits, anything that you've produced might go in there. And then finally, any editing that you've done will show up in here. And of course, I haven't started my project yet, so I'm just seeing nothing. So I can actually create a new video edit here, or I can click on new video edit up here. Both of these things do exactly the same thing. So let's go ahead and click start. As soon as we initiate creating a new edit, it's going to ask us to make two choices. First, it's going to ask us to choose a format. And we can change this at any time, but essentially we need to choose between a horizontal aspect ratio or a square aspect ratio. And for this project, for Video Project 1, I'd like everyone to work with the traditional 16:9 or horizontal aspect ratio. So I'm going to go ahead and select that. Then the second choice we need to make is whether or not we want to use a template. So WeVideo is saying choose a starting point. Because I want all of you to experience creating your videos from scratch, from the ground up, we're all going to choose no template. So go ahead and check that. And again, as I said earlier, we'll explore some of these templates later on. So I've made those two selections, and now I'm going to click create. And WeVideo is going to think about it for a minute, and boom, here we are in the project. There's a couple of things that I want you to see. So first of all, it looks like all of a sudden there's all of this content in here. And what these are, this is actually some of the stock footage that actually comes with our WeVideo for Education account. So I can actually click on any one of these and it will load. And this is stock B-roll or stock footage that we can use in any of our videos. And all you need to do to preview those is to actually click on them. Now, interestingly, you can favorite them by clicking on the heart. And not all of them are video. So you can see here there are videos. There are also just images. So if you want just B-roll images, stock photography, you can click on any of these. And then there's also stock audio. Which is really excellent. And notice the load more button. It doesn't load them all by default. So keep that in mind. Now, what's nice about this is you can actually search. So I'm going to say, I want something to do with school. And so WeVideo is going to search, and it's going to bring up all kinds of content, videos, audio, and photos related to schools. So let's click on here. can't see the full title, but elementary school teacher, and it must be kids running a race or student working on equations. And then they have somewhat more abstract ones like a pan of books or somebody writing on a chalkboard. But again, all of these videos are there for you to use. So let's change tabs for a minute. I'm going to go from the star, which is what they call the essentials library, all that stock footage. I'm actually going to come over to the media that's tied to this project. And if I click on project media, I can see there's a folder provided by WeVideo of finished videos. And because this is a brand new project, there's nothing in there. And if I come back out of finished videos, you can see there is this 30-minute video clip that I've already added. And if I was to click on that, it's going to take a minute because it's a substantial file. You'll actually see a preview of my video file. And believe it or not, it's playing right now. You can actually see the curtain and everything in the background. Now, another thing, I want to click on this. This is where we can add text. One of the nice things about WeVideo is there's lots of different title text and quote text. And again, if you click on any one of these, you get to see previews of what they look like. So that's a nice quote one. This one's called Above the Horizon. After the hyphen here, it tells us it's really meant to be a title. Here's another one called Leaflet. That's a title. And I'm going to show you how to use these in just a second, but I just wanted to give you a feel for what they look like. Now, they also have some seasonal text. Here's one for Father's Day. And again, this is aimed more at younger children to make it really easy for them to design something. There's also call-out tools like pointers, arrows, and then if you want to circle something or put a rectangle about it, you can do that as well. And then they also have some themes that you can leverage. One thing that I wanted to show you is this button right here, which easily allows you to switch from list view to thumbnail view. And if I click on thumbnail view, this is giving you a bit more visual information about what these things actually look like. And it's also important to notice that you can resize this however you need to make it comfortable for your given monitor. And then finally, if you click here, what you're seeing are graphics. And you may want some special effects and things to enhance your videos. So for example, this one's called Snow. Most of these are fairly abstract, but sometimes you'll want to have text scrolling over this or to give a certain feel. And then they also have solid background colors too, which can be very important for certain types of work. So that's kind of the basics right there. Now, below this horizontal line here is actually the storyboard and or the timeline. Now, by default, and I pointed this out in the last video, is by default, WeVideo has things using these rectangles where it doesn't matter how long something is. It doesn't matter what it is. It's actually just these storyboard titles. And this is a really simple way to put together kind of an animated slideshow or even a video, but it's really geared for non-professional work. Again, more for the classroom context, especially if you're working with younger children or perhaps people who are just brand new to any type of technology like this. But for our purposes, we want to dig a little bit deeper. And because of that, what we want to do is actually switch modes. So I'm going to come up here and click on the main menu, and there's a couple of different things I can do here. One, importantly, I can force the saving of my project. But really what I want to talk about right now is I want to switch to timeline. And when I do that, look what happens to this area down here. This is very important. Suddenly, I don't see those rectangles anymore. And what happens is by default, WeVideo gives me 3 tracks, a video 2 track, a video 1 track, and an audio 1 track. Now I can add or subtract these tracks to my heart's content. I can also rename them and I can delete them. And I can also add more of them whenever I need them. And so I want to spend a few minutes just talking about how to use these different tracks. And importantly, this blue component right here is called the playhead. And I can slide this left and right. And if I actually begin playing my video, If I'm just going to click the play button here, you're going to watch the playhead move from left to right. And we can see there, oh, there's a sample title, and then it's going to switch to a blue background, and then it looks like it's going to switch to a darker blue gray background. Okay, so that's the basics. If I wanted to rewatch something, I could slide the slider back and I can press the space bar. That's actually a shortcut. If I press the space bar again, that actually stops it. And now sometimes we need to zoom in and out of our video. And see the little magnifying glass here? This allows us to zoom out, and we can actually zoom way in. And notice what's happening to the timeline. It's really spreading out, so we can get very detailed as to when we actually cut something or when we add a transition. Those are all important things that we're going to take a look at. Now I'm going to slide this back out so we're just seeing kind of the three basics here. So one of the things you probably noticed is as soon as we switched over to timeline mode, you can see we got a few more options up here because that's giving us a bit more sophistication. And in particular, you can see there's audio features now. And there's free music and there's sound effects and there's actually premium music that's been categorized by mood. So cheerful, energetic, feel good, international, suspenseful. Let's just go in here. And this is one, it's called Drip Drop. And you can see it's actually 3 minutes, 28 seconds. So the point is all of this is available to you royalty free through your WeVideo account. And again, if you didn't want to see it as tiles like this, you can switch over to list. Now, the next thing that I want to show you is this tab right here, which are actually transitions. And if you set your mouse over that and just let it sit for a minute, you'll see that the tooltips pop up to tell you there are all kinds of transitions that you can use. And again, if you click on them, it will show you actually what they mean by a cross dissolve or a cross mosaic. And this is pretty powerful. There's also some additional ones that are a bit more sophisticated. Here's a sliding grid. To summarize, what you have access to in the timeline mode of WeVideo is any media that you import to the project. You have all of the text, titles, lower thirds, and credits, all of the callouts and themes. You have access to sound effects and free music. You have access to standard and additional transitions, and then you also have access to various types of backgrounds and overlays. So all of this comes with your WeVideo account. Okay, everyone, so that's just getting started with WeVideo. I hope that helped orient you slightly to the interface. In subsequent videos, we'll go in a lot more depth into some of the more advanced features. Have fun. See you online.